गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We are in Kenopanishad, chapter 2, verse number 2, verse number 4. प्रतिबोध विदितं मतम अमृतत्वं हि विन्दते आत्मना विन्दते वीर्यं विद्यया विन्दते अमृतम. And here we are on page 76 of the Bhashya, and we have to start from Yadapi Karnadanam, on page 77, Yadapi Karnadanam Atma Manaha. But just before that, what was the topic that was going on? It was told, Yada Bodho Jayate, Tada Bodha Kriyaya Sa Visheshaha. Yada Bodho Nashyati, Tada Nashta Bodho Dravya Matram Nirvisheshaha. Tatra Evam Sati Vikriyatmakaha Savayavo Vaha Anityaha Ashuddha Ityadayoho Dosha Na Parihartum Shakyante. So what were they saying? That in short, what they are saying is that the bodha kriyaya sa visheshaha, that the doer is the prompter of the action. If see, these are the different standpoints that are being looked at. We will look at, this is the standpoint, then next will be the Vaisheshika, then will be the Bauddha. And this is the Paddhati. Paddhati means the analysis. And all the other beliefs that are, or philosophies that are present at that time or at any time, which also present their view, they उनका खंडन करना पड़ता है, means they have to be refuted. So here, those who say that the doer is the prompter of action or of activity, we do not accept that, because if karta is the prompter, then the doer is missing in the dream, the doer is missing in the sleep, then Atma is missing or what? So we cannot say, because karta and the karma, the actor and the action, both come about, and that is perceived by someone else. It is in the light of someone else, and that someone else is the Atma. That is the pratibodha. So we cannot, so here when it says that here, we can take one example as given in the Amrit Anubhav, and that is that the light and heat are not known to the not known. In other words, sun is not aware of the heat and light, or day and night, or their absence. See? So similarly, this Atma Tattva is not aware of duality. karta and karma are at the Triputi level. It is at the relative level, and therefore it is he is the Atma Tattva is now not aware of its presence. So here it says, Yada bodho nashyati tada nashta bodho dravya matram nirvisheshaha. So, which means that if an activity tada bodhak, here it says that if he is the actor, and when and we know that the seer is, when we are when the seer is identified with the scene, then alone he is called seer. When the speaker is identified with the activity of speaking, then alone the speaker is there. So is it so that when the seer comes and goes, Atma is coming and going, then the speaker is coming and going, Atma is coming and going, hearer is coming and going, then Atma is coming and going, then Atma will become Anitya. You understand the argument which is being put here? So this conclusion that if, and this is the mistake sometimes we do in our meditation or in our understanding, we think this doer, this speaker, this seer, this hearer, this individual, this jiva, this waker is itself the Paramatma or the Atma Swarup. It cannot be, because this waker is with reference to the waking world. Atma is independent, and that you are. And how you are? Because you know, just as you, even now your disposition is other than the waker and the waking world. Because if that was not the case, how could you say that yesterday I went through the 3 states? You were the witness of the 3 states, isn't it? The waking, dream, and deep sleep. Waker was with reference to the waking, dreamer was with reference to the dreaming, and deep sleeper was with reference to the deep sleep. But the one who knows these 3 is separate from these 3. So he has never taken the position of waker, dreamer, and sleeper. And if we say that he has taken the position of the karta, of the doer, then doer is expressing in many ways, na? Seer, hearer, toucher, feeler, taster, thinker, feeler, waker, dreamer, sleeper, and they are all coming and going. And that will, then what does that equation conclude? Atma is coming and going, and that is unacceptable. See, this is the beauty of Shankaracharya, and which we would not have ever thought about. It will come to you if you are sincerely seeking the truth within as the self.
And the knower also, Swamiji.
Pardon me?
And the knower also, I know, that also is being irrelevant, not only all other things. I am the knower.
Because knower is with reference to the known. That yes. Also is so included. All erring, all were personalities ending in ER are defunct. Yes. In other words, in short, we are telling them as karta. Because that's only part of the Triputi. It has got nothing to do with the spirit. It has got nothing to do with the pure consciousness. So this is the first argument which Adi Shankaracharya is refuting, that we do not accept that. Yeah.
That's why it is Vastu Tantra, not Kartu Tantra.
Correct. Then tatra evam sati vikriyatmakah savayavah anityah ashuddha ityadayo dosha na parihartum shakyante. And if we accept it that way, then what happens? It becomes a vikari. Vikari meaning vikriyatmakaha, means it becomes changeable. And Atma is constant. Atma is not changeable. So seer, is seer the hearer? No. Is hearer the speaker? No. These are, with respect to the instruments, his identity, this jiva, the what do you call, the subject is changing. But Atma is not changing. It is not vikriyatmakaha. And that it is not, if we accept the above argument that he is the karta, then he will become the changing, he will be one with limbs, he will become one with which is not eternal, anitya, and then ashuddha, because there is element of doshas that are that it is associated with, whereas Atma is absolutely pristine. It is Shuddha Tattva. And that is our nature. Don't forget that part. We are talking about the Atma Tattva. So this was last week. Now the next one. Yadapi Karnadanam Atma Manaha Sanyogajo Bodha Atmani Samavaiti Ata Atmani Bodhrutvam Natu Vikriyatmaka Atma Dravya Matrastu Bhavati Ghataiva Rag Samavayi Asmin Pakshepi Achetanam Dravya Matram Brahmeti. We'll continue after that. So now another argument is taken, that of the Vaisheshikas. And who are these? Here the Kanad Rishi. He is the propagator of the Vaisheshika philosophy. And what do they take here? They take here that when Atma and mind come together, then knowledge takes place. Example taken is like a glass is kept on a red cloth and it appears as red. So what do you see from far away? A red glass. So the red color is superimposed on the glass. So here they are saying that when Atma is coming in contact with or comes together with, identifies with the mind, and knowledge takes place. But see what is happening in that example where the glass is kept on the red cloth. Glass is also an object and the red cloth is also an object. And is also an object. And when Atma is in contact with the mind, it becomes the knower. But actually Atma is not doing anything. He is the non-doer. As it is. So what is the job? What is Atma doing then? When we say doing, again, activity. No, Atma is only knowing. It is this, you can say it is Sakshi, but actually speaking, even not Sakshi. Because there is, Sakshi will be of something else other than it, that it is witnessing. From Atma's point of view, nothing is other than it. Everything is it only. So here when we say that, so therefore that Atma is in contact with the mind, then it will be considered that Atma becomes the knower of the thoughts, of the objects, and Atma cannot become the knower. Atma is by itself. We cannot accept that. Because if we take this interpretation that it becomes the knower, then the knower as well as the known are of the same degree of reality. Example, we have already taken red glass on the, clear glass on the red cloth. The glass is also an object and the red cloth is also an object. Is the thought, the mind, what is mind? Nothing but thoughts. Thoughts are an object, they are coming and going. Is Atma an object? If we say Atma gets identified with the mind, with the thoughts, and that is, what is your experience? See, this is where we have to be very alert, attentive. What is our experience? There is a listener. There are words coming to you which are listened, and the instrument are the ears. And then the thoughts are created in the mind. So what do you say? I am listening. I am listening. You are the subject. Words that are coming to you are the object. And the listening is the due to the instrument of hearing. See? So is this listener and are you an object who comes and goes? Is that your experience? What is your direct experience at this moment? I'm just going a bit deeper into this. It's not given there. They are only taking the argument. What is your, mine, everyone's experience? Are we coming and going with every thought? Are we coming and going with waker and dreamer and sleeper? As the days are passing by, past is going by, future is coming. Are we also coming and going? Time is coming and going. Places are coming and going. Body is coming and going. Breath is coming and going. Thoughts are coming and going. Emotions are coming and going. The waker, dreamer, sleeper, seer, hearer, toucher, feeler, thinker, taster, feel, etc. They are coming and going. But do you directly at this moment, with every, as you are listening, do you have the experience that you are coming and going with every thought? But remember, every thought will only appear in our mind if the Triputi is there. Subject, object, and instrument of knowledge. Listener, listen to and listening. One thought. Then next thought, again listener, listened to and listening. Then third thought, again the same thing. So first thought goes away, the listener goes away, then the next thought comes, again the listener is born, spontaneously, there only, simultaneously along with the object. All the three have to happen together. Otherwise, mind cannot function, thought cannot appear. But do you feel, do you have an experience that with every thought coming and going, you are coming and going? If not, if you say, no, I am thoughts are coming and going, I am there only, then this Vaisheshika philosophy, throw it out of the window. This doesn't stand the logic of our direct experience. Adi Shankaracharya is not talking about some concept. He is talking about our true nature. So all these standpoints which are being refuted, you have to compare it with your direct experience, not as an intellectual pursuit, not as an intellectual concept, not like an intellectual idea. The idea, logic is given, but apply it to yourself. Then it will hit its mark. So relationship can come about only when two things are of the same quality. The glass is also an object and the red cloth is also an object. But in the case of Atma, is Atma an object? Mind, yes, mind is an object. So are they both falling in the same category? No. Atma is or not an object. So how can they have a relationship with each other? Not possible. If you're understanding it, understanding the argument, fantastic. If you're not, don't fret over it. Listen to it 2-3 times, it will become clear. Do a lot of japa. Become focused. Come to the class with an empty stomach. Then it will happen. But our Swamiji says the other way. He says, keep the stomach full and mind empty. So if you have filled up your stomach, at least keep the mind empty. Don't come with preconceived ideas, notions, conclusions. Be totally open. And we can be only totally open when we are eager to know who we are right now. Not when the Upanishad finishes, right now. Many times in these verses, the Upanishad has given the conclusion. But why does it continue? Because it is doing service to us. The Shruti Mata. The truth was revealed, second verse. Then why third verse, fourth verse? For stupid people like us. We are like that curl tail of the dog. We don't want to become straight. So she's prodding us, beckoning us. Maybe if I put it this way, this fellow will understand. Maybe I'll put it that way, this fellow will understand. Maybe I'll go a bit deeper, take different angle of approach. The Shruti Mata is doing all this. Adi Shankaracharya has given such a detailed commentary on the Shruti Matas, the third verse and the fourth verse. So that we become clear. About what? About what he's saying? No. About ourselves. We are not here to validate him. We are not here to tell whether he has said it right or wrong. Catch the truth while the discussion is going on. That knack we have to develop. And that will only be possible when we are subjective. And to be subjective, here is one more clarity. First clarity was that knowledge does not take place due to activity. Second is Atma cannot associate with the mind. If you say that knowledge takes place because Atma associates with the mind, this is wrong conclusion. Atma is self-knowing. It doesn't need any damn support to know anything or itself. It is self-knowing. It is self-established. It's self-existing. See? And every time we use the word Atma, the moment you hear Atma, it should not be about, acha, kiske bare mein baat kar rahe hain? Whom are we talking about? No, you must come back to yourself straight away. Hone into yourself that you are the one, in spite of the thoughts, in spite of the listening. See? If we accept what the Vaisheshikas or Kanadrishi is saying, then we are bringing the Atma down to the level of the mind, down to the level, mind is an object of knowledge. Atma, we are bringing the Atma down to that objectivity, and that is not acceptable, because then mind is inert. Mind, what is inert? That which comes and goes is mind. Then is Atma which is coming and going? Is Brahman coming and going? Or it is always? So we do not accept that argument, and therefore, continuing, here some it's said, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, that Brahma, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that this Brahma is Ananda Swarup. Then next one, Prajnanam Brahma, that consciousness is Brahman. Then all these statements of truth which are told by the Shruti, they become invalid if we take that Atma is associated with the mind. See, the whole thing is taking us to a point where we have to come to accept, to be that mind is Prakriti, it is going on. The seer, hearer, toucher, feeler, taster, etc. If I accept myself as all those erring personalities, then I'm going the wrong way. Just as the waker can never know what the sleep is. The waker has to go out of existence in order for sleep to begin. The seeker has to go out of existence. The knower has to go out of existence. Meaning this ER personality has to go away. Then alone the knowledge will dawn. Then alone will come to a true position, which we are always. But if we have, out of ignorance, accepted that I am the mind, unaccept it, yaar. You don't have a problem in giving up the waking when you go to sleep. You don't have a problem in giving up your role if you are a mother and the husband comes in front of you. In a moment, you drop the mother and take on the hat of the, what do you call, of the wife. That means you, the woman, In one moment you are a mother, next moment you are a wife, third moment you are a sister, if all the family members are there, and you are not confused, you are playing all the roles. So if you have only accepted yourself to be an individual, if you have accepted yourself to be the mind, if you have accepted yourself to be someone, unaccept it, drop it. And you know the art of dropping. Every night you drop everything on, because without dropping, you cannot go to sleep. Drop it. Just like that. No sadhana required. What sadhana do you do to go to sleep? What sadhana do you do to empty your mind of the waking in order to go to sleep? No sadhana. Only think about the sleep. Genuinely, sincerely, ready to be absorbed, ready to be become one with it. Bring about that disposition. Accept that I am that pure consciousness. Automatically, everything that you are not, whatever these standpoints are mentioning, everything will drop away. But if we keep insisting that I want to continue to be the mother and daughter and sister and house and with all my pains and all my successes and ambitions, and yet come to know the truth, then we are knocking on the wrong door. We are in the wrong class then. We are in the wrong, with the wrong Shruti Mata. You need to go and listen to some motivational speakers. That is not possible here. So we have come to this conclusion that it is the wrong argument, because we cannot make Atma into an object of which is of the same quality as the mind. Mind is coming and going, mind is changing, Atma is not changing. And when we consider ourselves that I am the seer, I am the hearer, I am the taster, these are changing personalities, they are only at the mind level. That is the functional I. Let it do what it is. It has got no choice. It will appear that only. But who are you? Are you the I which is changing with every instrument of, with every object of cognition or association? Or are you the one who is ever the constant one? Determine this and contemplate. See. इत्याद्याः श्रुतयो बाधिताः स्युः आत्मनो निरवयवत्वेन प्रदेश अभावात् नित्य संयुक्तवाच्च मनसः स्मृति उत्पत्ति नियम अनुपपत्तिः अपरिहार्याः स्यात्. So basically what it is saying is what I just explained to you, that see, Atma is without any limbs. Atma has no qualities. Atma cannot be described. Oh, don't we say, sir, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarup. Don't we say it is Ekmeva Dvitiya? Don't we say it is Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma? Don't we say it is Satchidananda Swarup? That is only in the beginning stages. What to do? We have to say that. And as Jnaneshwar Maharaj is explaining in his Amrit Anubhav, that is the chapter which we have started now. That the Sat Chit Anand, Sat is used to counteract Asat. Chit is used to counteract Achit. Anand is used to counteract Dukkham, and so on with all the other adjectives. But Atma as such is quality-less, attribute-less, definition-less. It is that from where all the words return. They cannot illuminate it. Yato vacho nivartante. Mind cannot conceptualize it or imagine it or comprehend it. Aprapya manasa saha. See? So it is, this Atma is free of all the conditionings, upadhis of Desha Kala Vastu. It cannot be conditioned, limited by space. It cannot be conditioned or limited by time. And it cannot be conditioned or limited by any quality or specificity that is object. It is self-existing. We cannot come to know the Atma through something. Because I am thinking, therefore I am. No. You are not studying scriptures to prove that Atma is. No, that is not the purpose of studying Upanishads. We are not here to prove Atma. When we come to the Upanishads, we come to see that everything that is anatma must be given up. Then what remains is the Atma. See? So by taking these arguments, where is he reaching? That it is without any conditions or limitations of Desh Kala Vastu. Everything that you know is only through conditionings. Thoughts are also conditioned. Mind is conditioned. Body, breath, mind, intellect are conditioned. Waking, dream, deep sleep are conditioned. Birth and death are out of conditioning. Everything that in your cognition is all. When you are looking outwards, everything is with conditionings. When you look inwards in your subtle, only in your mind, everything in the mind is also conditioning, meaning dream world. It is also with conditionings only. Have the courage, have the acumen, develop the knack to be free of conditionings. Which you always are. Stop this obsession with the thoughts. Stop this obsession of working out the Atma. Atma cannot be worked out. See? Atma is not a result of logic. E is equal to mc square. So Atma is equal to this plus this or minus that. No, nothing like that. Atma is self-existing. And you can assess this. You come to yourself and see if every statement that is told by the Upanishads, told by the teacher, Is it standing? Does it have, does it stand the inquiry? And that inquiry must be, remember, inquiry is not for the sake of inquiry. Inquiry is for Nitya Vivek. Here we are talking about Atma. Atma is the Nitya Vastu. And that I am. That I am. See? संसर्ग धर्मित्वं च आत्मनः श्रुति स्मृति न्याय विरुद्धं कल्पितं स्यात्, because the mind is pervaded by the Atma Tattva. Because what does the Shruti say, the Upanishad say about, or the scriptures say about Atma Tattva? It is all pervasive. There is no place that it is not. It is Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Atma itself is Brahma and it is everywhere. So can mind exist without Atma? Independently? Not possible. Mind is pervaded. It cannot have an existence. Can a wave exist separate from water? Can it? Not possible. But from water's point of view, is there a wave? No. Can heat and light exist separate from the sun? No. But from sun's point of view, is there heat and light? No. Is there absence of heat and light? No. And that is what is told here, that this Atma is ever in union or pervasive. It is the substratum of the mind, and therefore how should I explain it without me getting confused? Forget about you people. And because of this continuous union with the mind, the memory is created, the what do you call, the Shruti Smriti, and we imagine in that mind, yes, in that mind we imagine what? The Shruti, Smriti and Yukti. Shruti is the scriptures, Smriti is the memories, meaning the Puranas, and Yukti is the sadhana by which we come to realize that which the Shruti and the Smriti are telling. Then it says here, asango nahi sanjate asaktam sarva bhrut First one was Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, second is Gita. Itihi Shruti Smriti. It says, Asango, Asangaha nahi sanjate, that Atma is not associated with anything else. See? So, if Atma cannot be associated with anything else, then can it be associated with mind? Relatively, we speak that way. But when we take the subjective approach, then no association is ever possible. Then second one, Asaktam Sarva Bhrut, Gita 13th chapter, that Atma is without any association, and yet it supports everything, yet it takes care of everything. So say the Shruti and the Smriti. Then Nyaya cha gunavata sansrujyate na atulya jatiyam. According to the yukti, anything that is with a quality, it is known by that quality only. And therefore, here it says, Ataha nirgunam nirvishesham sarva vilakshanam kenachid api atulya jatiyena sansrujyata iti etat nyaya viruddham bhavet. Therefore, nirguna, without any qualities, nirvishesha, non-specific, sarva vilakshana, different from everything, means it's transcendental to everything that you know. That is the Atma, and that such a Atma, if it can have any association with any vijatiya vastu, any sajatiya, any vijatiya or swagata, we can take it that way. Meaning, anywhere there are differences, because these are the three types of differences in creation. Vijatiya, different species. Sajatiya, within one species there are different differences. And swagata, within one unit of one species there are so many differences. To imagine that Atma can be associated with Sajatiya, Vijatiya or Swagata, Bhed differences, it is going in the wrong direction. Don't imagine that way. That Atma can be associated, identified in union with the mind or the body or the breath or the waking or the dream or the sleep or the samadhi. Atma has got nothing to do with all this. And that you are. We are talking about what? Pratibodhamitam matam. And if some people give this type of argument, and we are so, क्या बोलते हैं? Our mind is so slippery. Someone says something a little bit forcefully, convincingly, because we have never thought about it. इधर गए तो आया राम, उधर गए तो गया राम. Someone says this, oh yeah, that argument sounds very good. This also sounds very, very good. Next one is coming, the Buddha, how the Buddhists think. Means those who do not believe in Atma Tattva. So, we have to be very clear as regards what Sanatan Dharma or Shruti is telling as regards what this Atma, which is not other than the essence of this I, is. And for that purpose, these arguments are being taken by Adi Shankaracharya. Tasmat nitya tasmat nitya alupta jnana swarupa jyotiratma brahmetyayam arthaha sarva bodha bodhrutve atmana siddhyati na anyatha. So here it says, therefore, this nitya alupta, this is indestructible, which is alupta, means lupta means that which is hidden. Alupta is ever present, man, it is never hidden. Are you ever hidden to yourself? Alupta, jnana swarup, that which is of the nature of knowledge, which is of the nature of light, that Atma itself is Brahma. So understand this Atma to be so, and no other way of understanding should be accepted. Tasmat tasmat प्रतिबोध विदितं मतम इति यथा व्याख्यात एवर्थः अस्माभिः. Therefore, the final conclusion, tasmat, therefore, this pratibodham, what is this Atma is nitya, and even if the what you call tasmat pratibodha viditam matam iti yata vyakhyata evartho asmabhihi, that this is the meaning of pratibodha viditam matam as we have explained above, and one must understand it in this manner alone. So don't consider that Atma can die because Atma is Nitya. Atma is self-illumined, as we saw, Jyotihi, Jyotiratma. It is of the nature of light, self-effulgent. Thus, Atma doesn't need knowledge. It is of the nature of knowledge. Pratibodha viditam matam. It is of the nature of bodha. It doesn't need thoughts in order to know itself. Who? Atma. What are we doing? If you are considering that while studying, because I am studying, therefore I will come to know, wrong conclusion. You are studying to make sure that the mind does not get, which is of the nature of consciousness, becomes free of all that is anitya. That is why we are studying. And what will happen then? Pratibodhamatam. Then the true knowledge, unstruck knowledge, that knowledge without any support, without any association, without any reference to, that will reveal. because that is your nature. And it is always, there has never been a moment in past, present, future. Is it before birth also? Yes, before birth also you were there. It will be after death? Yes, also after death. Because birth and death is only of the body. Listen to Swamiji's Yoga Vashishta. That this whole chakkar of samsar, of lives, past lives, present life, future lives, all this is only a mrugjal. It is just an imagination. It's just what do you call? Phenomenal. It has got nothing to do with who you are. But man is so identified with his body, is so identified with his mind. Mind is part of the body. When we say body, I'm just saying mind because body doesn't mean only the physical body, all the panchakoshas. He is so identified with panchakoshas under the influence of the ignorance. And ignorance is beginningless. Why it has happened? Why did this ignorance come? Who knows? Question is, where you are, you find your true nature, that's all. Where did it start? Why did it start? Who cares? आम खाने से मतलब है? गुठली कहाँ से आई? कहाँ पे पैदा हुआ था? ये आम कौन से पेड़ पे लगा था? इसको पानी ठीक से दिया था कि नहीं? Was it sprayed with insecticides, pesticides? Did it come by sea or it came by air, freight? You don't care. उनको आम खाने से मतलब है. Ignorance is beginningless. Don't go in that direction. That question itself is invalid. When did ignorance begin? No, don't go in that direction. Because if you ask that question, there is no answer. You will end up in depression. Yat punaha स्वसंवेद्यता प्रतिबोध विदितम इति अस्य वाक्यस्यार्थो वर्णयते तत्र भवति स उपाधिकत्वे सोपाधिकत्वे आत्मनः बुद्धि उपाधि स्वरूपत्वेन भेदं परिकल्प्यात्मनात्मानं वेत्ति इति संव्यवहारः आत्मन्येवात्मानं पश्यति बृहदारण्यके उपनिषद स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं वेत्थं त्वं पुरुषोत्तम गीता. What is his yat punah? And once again, what is this once again? Once again, now, once again, this pratibodha viditam madam means it knows itself. Third one we are taking, that pratibodha vidam asya vakya se artha hai varnayate, that it knows itself. Swaprakasha. And in this way, this definition, if it is taken, because some people do it, if you take that, if people are taking this angle of approach, that what do you call, that the self knows the self by the self. We say that, no? Uddharet atmanatmanam atmanam avasadhyat. What do we say there? Raise yourself, by yourself, in yourself, for yourself, whatever. In self. So is pratibodha viditam matam, does it mean know the self by the self? That does it mean that the Atma knows itself? Yes, put it this way. Does Atma know itself? Like I know myself. What is I? Oh, I am this. Who is giving satsang lecture right now? Is this how Atma knows itself? Oh, I am of the nature of light. I am not identified with anything. Oh, I am the pure existence. Oh, I am the infinitely pervading reality. I am of the nature of consciousness. I am bliss incarnate. Does Atma know itself like that? I'm just dramatizing it, but does Atma know that way? Who are you? We ask someone. They say, oh, I am Mr. So-and-so. Who is so and who are, and all your definition about yourself, your identity is with reference to something. Is with reference to something. What will Atma, you say, for example, you will say, I am husband of so and so, I am son of so and so, I am living at this particular address. There, the reference is your home. I drive such a car, that is your reference. You are working in this company, that is your reference. You are a manager, that is your reference. You earn such income, income is your reference. You are born in this part of the world, that is your reference. You are that many years old, that means your date of birth, this is your reference. You are thin or fat, that is your reference. You have studied so many scriptures, that is your reference. But this is all with reference. When we say Atma knows itself, Pratibodhamatam. What is that? Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Does it mean can Atma talk about itself with reference to something? Like you and me do right now? Is there anything else other than the Atma for it to refer with? Then if there is nothing there other than Atma for it to refer itself with, how will it come to know itself? So this conclusion that that it knows itself, that Atma knows itself. That is also what are the qualities of the sun? Heat and light. Does the sun know that it is hot and of the nature? It has the qualities of heat and light. Does the sun know that? From sun's point of view, no, that is its nature. It cannot know itself through any adjectives. We are saying that because we are separate, we consider ourselves separate. Think. So this definition, this angle of approach to understand Pratibodha Viditam Matam, that Atma knows itself. How? Like I know myself. This is wrong. And therefore, because our way of knowledge is only possible when it is associated with some conditioning, with reference to something or someone, only then it can come to know. But Atma has nothing to associate with. Atma has no conditioning. Atma has got no other with which to refer itself with. And therefore, do not go in that direction. Therefore, when it said that Atma knows itself, it's only possible when it's associated with the upadhi of buddhi, and when it is associated, again, this is, we are talking from relative standpoint, and there the scriptures are being quoted, that when it associates as if with the buddhi, in the buddhi, the aham and idam are happen, the subject and object come about, and then that subject defines itself, identifies itself with the object, and with respect to that object, with reference to that object, in the buddhi, that knowledge comes about. And therefore, the bhed of knower and known is at the buddhi level. And thus, again, wherever there is knower and known, wherever there is aham and idam, wherever there is subject and object, again the duality is created. And Atma, what is it? What is it? It is beyond the duality. It is transcendental to duality. From Atmic point of view, there is no duality. Just like from sun point of view, there is no heat and light. But heat and light is coming out of it. But sun doesn't know it because it is nature. Similarly, the parma, from Atmic point of view, Atma doesn't know it. From water's point of view, water doesn't know it. But water doesn't know what? Water doesn't know there is an ocean and wave, because it is everywhere. But without water, can ocean and wave exist? No. Are they there? Yes. Think. Same way, from Atmic point of view, no knowledge, thought knowledge is possible. Thought knowledge is always between where there is duality. So this Atma, that our essential nature is, it's not the result of a thought knowledge. It is in spite of it. Does it mean that I have to remove all the thoughts? No, you cannot remove. Phenomena is continuing. You have to just recognize. One person gets married. From one moment to the next, that man and woman, they start accepting each other as husband and wife. The moment Jai Mala is put. What shifted in them? They only accepted each other. And from that moment on, she stops being a woman and she starts expressing as wife. He stops being a man and he starts accepting himself as husband. Few years pass, divorce happens. Now, the husband doesn't call her my ex-husband, or wife doesn't say that I'm ex-wife of so-and-so. They continue. So what was the substratum there? The substratum was the man or the woman. But what was husband and wife? An imaginary hat that they have, role that they have accepted, which was existing in its own absence. But woman or man, they were the constant. So when divorce happened, Nothing happened to the man, nothing happened to the woman. Husband died, husband went away, wife also went away the moment divorce happened. And this is what is happening with every experience. With every thought, there is a subject, there is an object. There is a knower, there is a known. But it is only at the level of intellect. Ahamidam. With every thought, they are coming and going, coming and going. That's why thoughts are coming. But because these thoughts are coming and going, are you coming and going? Again, coming back to the same, how we began today's class. Are we coming and going? No. And therefore so Atmanyevatmanam pashyati, he sees Atma in Atma, Brihadaranyaka Swayameva Atmanatmanam Vetam Tvam Purushottama. Here he says, he sees Atma in Atma, He Purushottam, told in Gita. Natu nirupadhika syatmana ekatve swasamvedyata parasamvedyata va sambhavati samvedana swarupa samvedana swarupatvat samvedanantarapeksha samvedanantara apeksha chana sambhavati yatha prakashasya prakasha antarapekshaya na sambhava tadvat. He says here that natu nirupadis kasyatmana. Here he says that in this Atma, there is no bhed, no upadhi bhed possible. I think that I touched this point already, didn't know this was coming, that there is no bhed possible. That, what does bhed means? There is no duality possible in this Atma. And therefore, it knowing itself or knowing others, it knowing itself or knowing others is meaningless. The sun doesn't know that it is of the nature of heat and light, and sun doesn't know that to how many millions, billions, this heat and light is a boon on the earth. It doesn't know it. Each wave says, oh, thank you, water god, because without you, I have no existence. But from water's point of view, there is no wave, there is no ocean. From the one reality point of view, there is no totality or individuality. It is one without a second. If it is one without a second, where there is only one, how can a thought be created? How can knowledge be created? Knowledge what is taking place here or within us is only at the level of mind. And our mind is a product of duality, where duality is existing. Association is there, identification is there, subject object is there. Therefore, a thought is created. In Atma, no thought is possible, my friends. So thought knowledge is not possible. Knowledge is there, but thought knowledge is not there. See? So it does not have any, the Atma does not look forward to anything else in order to associate, in order to define itself. Now take this as a sadhana. If you accept you are the Atma, then next time someone says, "Hi man, introduce yourself." How will you introduce yourself? You will be in the disposition of Ramana Maharishi. Shantam. Nothing needs to be said. The silence reveals everything to the questioner. Because that Mahatma is ever abiding in the self as the self, without any thought. Now the Baudh Paksha is taken. How much time is there? 15 minutes. Baudh Pakshe Swasamvedyatayam tu kshanabhanguratvam niratmakatvam cha vijnanasya syat nahi vignatuhu vignater vipari lopo vidyate avinashitvat Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Mundaka Upanishad Savaesha Mahajana Atma Jaro Amaro Amruto Abhayaha Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Ityadyaha Shrutayoho Badhyeran. So now in this the Baudh Vichar is taken, the nihilist philosophy, and in this where are we? In this nihilist philosophy, what they have taken is they say the basic premise of the Baudic philosophy here is Kshanabhangurata, that everything is getting destroyed every moment. And why? What is it? They say that the object and the mind, when they come together, then consciousness is born and then knowledge takes place. When object and the mind come to be associated with each other, then consciousness is born and thus knowledge takes place. And this leads to, every time the object and the mind are coming together, consciousness is created. Then when the object and the mind get separated from each other, then consciousness vanishes. Then again, so your mind and the object is my word. Every time the word is meeting your mind, consciousness is getting created in you and knowledge is getting is taking place. And when like in the silence that I purposely stopped, there was no object, there's no word coming to you, so no word coming to you, so did you become unconscious? Was there knowledge not there of the absence? So you, who are you? You are the one at the relative level. You are the one who is illuminating the presence of the thought and absence of the thought. You are not the one who goes away with every thought. Is that your experience? Is that your disposition at this moment? So they say that when Baudhik Vichar is, when object and the mind come together, then consciousness is born and then knowledge as a result, knowledge takes place. And they say Pratibodha Matam means this, in this manner. We do not accept that also, because if we accept that with every thought, Atma is dying, and we do not accept that Atma is destructible. And that is not our direct experience at this moment also, as I have just explained. So it is not true, and their interpretation of this Pratibodha Viditam Matam is not the right interpretation. Therefore, and because they talk about the Kshanika, Kshanabhanguratvam, that every moment is kshanikam, every moment is dying. Their attention is on that, Kshanabhangurta. Our attention is not on destruction of Kshanabhangurta. Our attention is on the constantata, nityata. Our word Vivek itself says, Vivek is between nitya and anitya vastu. Their focus is on anityata. Therefore, kshanabhangurta, that every moment is going, every experience is taking place, and every experience is concluded by death of that experience. Therefore, kshanikam. Ours is nityatvam. In Vedanta, it's nityatvam. It's not kshanikam. Yes, we understand that relatively speaking, everything is kshanikam. We accept that. Anitya vastu is kshanikam. But the bodh that we are talking about, pratibodha viditam, that bodha which we are talking about, that is unstruck knowledge. It is not knowledge which is created because object and mind are coming together. It is not, that knowledge is not coming as before it was told that Atma and mind is coming together, not because of that also. As the Vaisheshikas told, it's not that also. So in this manner, we do not accept their conclusion. And then one or two scriptures are quoted where if we accept that, then the scriptures that are quoted, they will have no meaning. Because see, this is the beauty of our Upanishadic thought, that whatever we are, Shankaracharya is saying, he always quotes other scriptures, that those statements have to stand the test of logic. You can't just make one statement and say, oh, I don't know about the other Upanishads. No, all the Vedas, the Upanishads from the different Vedas, the knowledge is the same. They're coming to the same conclusion. All their, whether it is Prashna Upanishad, whether it is Chandogya Upanishad, whether it is, we saw Ishavasya Upanishad, whatever we studied in Ishavasya Upanishad, whatever the conclusion was of what Ishavasya Midagam Sarvam Yat Kinchit Jagatyam Jagat, whatever the definition of Jagat was there, how it was told that Isha, that infinite reality, is the one without a second, it is pervading everything. That same is continuing here also. It cannot be, suddenly it cannot become kshanikam. Its integrity has to be maintained. Its integrity has to be kept. The constancy has to be maintained. Whatever the argument, if it can stand the argument, then good. We are not trying to prove that it is there, but in the relative, when we are discussing, when we are doing using logic, when we are using whatever different ways, or whether it is this path or that path, the nityata of the Atma or Paramatma, that integrity of it has to be maintained. Suddenly we cannot change its character from nityata to anityata. Kshanikam is anityata. What is it? यत् पुनः प्रतिबोध शब्देन निर्निमित्तो बोध प्रतिबोधः यथा सुप्तस्य इति अर्थं परिकल्पयन्ति सकृद् विज्ञानं प्रतिबोध इत्यपरेः निर्निमित्तः सनिमित्तः सकृद् वा सकृद्वा प्रतिबोध एव हि सः. So here he is saying that yat punah, once again, what is this pratibodha viditam matam? It is the causeless knowledge. There is no cause of it. It is not because of this or because of that. We live in a world of cause and effect. I am the effect, parents are the cause. Speaking is the cause and understanding is the effect. Hearing is the effect. See? So what is this pratibodh? It is causeless cause. Is it because I am studying, therefore the Atma is, that therefore the knowledge of the Atma is, therefore I know myself because I am studying the Upanishad? Be very attentive here. Is it that I know myself as the constant one because I have studied? Then study will become the cause, Upanishad will become the cause, and Atma Bodh will become the effect. But Atma is self-existing, self-knowing, as we said before. So here when it says that yat punaha pratibodha shabdena nirnimitto, there is no nimitta because of which knowledge takes place. There is no nimitta. There is no cause because of which this bodh is there. Therefore, it is said it is the causeless. It is the causeless knowledge. And what is this? Here example is taken that yatha suptasya iti artha parikalpayanti. Just as in deep sleep, there is no thought. In deep sleep, there is no thought. If there is no thought, why there is no thought? Because there is no mind. If there is no mind, there is no duality. If there is no duality, there is no thought possible. If there is no thought possible, yet you know you slept last night. So if mind was not there in deep sleep, absence, mind means duality. There was absence, there was absence of every thought, absence of subject-object, absence of duality, knower and known. Yet knowledge took place. See, we must have never thought of sleep in this manner. Sleep is, yes, it may be a state of ignorance, but in sleep, technically, you are at one ment with your essential nature. And there is no disturbance of any thoughts. Only if you can remain awake at that time, drama is over. The play is over. We'll look at it again from this Amrutattvam onwards in our next class. Thoda sa aur, maybe till next class. And then one more verse. Then this hair-splitting logic and all this will be over. Then the story will begin. I think it is story time after that. Let me see. It is story time after that. So we'll see the story maybe in 1 or 2 classes time. So persevere with this thought, but take it subjective. If you are, I know you are all listening, I hope. No, I don't hope. You do whatever you want. But if you are listening and you are attentive to the self, in spite of the words that are coming to you, every word is triggering, is taking you, every sentence that is being uttered here is taking you, reminding you, I can't even say reminding you, is indicating that which you already are. If that opportunity is taken, shift your position from the individual to be the Atman. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for 10 seconds.